So good evening, friends. We are meeting again with the sixth edition of Organ of Medicine, and we are running slowly. That is, in fact, a right word to say, because we have to understand each and every word from the Organ of Medicine. And in last lecture, we have started discussing about the fifth aphorism, the very important aphorism in order to understand the causes of diseases, and at the same time, how to investigate the causes of diseases. We have started right from the first aphorism, and nearly about 2 months we have discussed the first aphorism, revolving around the whole homeopathy while discussing the first aphorism. Thereafter, we have discussed the second aphorism, the ideal cure, then the third, the qualities of homeopathic physicians, the fourth one more quality, that is the preserver of health, and then we have started yesterday understanding the diseases. And he has explained to start with the aphorism that in acute diseases you have to find it out what is the exciting cause, and if you are able to remove that exciting cause, number of times those indispositions or first variety, that is individual variety of the acute disease, vanishes because of it. So this is what we have learned in previous session. And then I think I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. So basically, the first part, that is how to handle acute diseases caused because of exciting cause, that also we have learned. And thereafter, he explained over there, when you deal with the chronic diseases, basically when you have to deal with chronic diseases, you have to find it out the fundamental cause, and fundamental cause is nothing but the sora. And in order to understand, in order to learn this sora, how to investigate the sora, there are many more things. In acute disease, the case taking is very simple. You get the characteristics very easily, and you can find it out a remedy very easily, because everything is self-evident, everything is of a recent origin, and because of which the person never forgets and tells you the details with which you can approach with the right remedy in such types of cases. But when you start dealing with the chronic, patient forgets the characteristics, because he has lost the characteristics because of consuming and many more allopathic medicine. And he once the characteristics are lost, you get only the pathologies, you get only the one-sided aspect of the case. And when you get such a one-sided aspect, the pathologies are a totality without a characteristic, it is not possible to reach to the right simillimum. So once you have to find it out the right simillimum, Hahnemann explains that in order to investigate this fundamental cause and find it out the right remedy for the fundamental cause, it is necessary to find it out 7 cardinal important features, out of which the first one we have discussed in yesterday's lecture, that is the ascertainable physical constitution of the patient, which is visible to your naked eye. That's what we have to look for. And we have discussed in length with different examples of the cases we have discussed in last lecture, how much important is the ascertainable physical constitution, because it gives one hint to reach to the remedy. So we have discussed ample, out of which the fat, fair, flabby constitution is calcarea cup, tall, slender, weak, emaciated, narrow chested is the tubercular personality, or which is present in phosphorus, the delicate skin which you can get with phosphorus. Then we have discussed that the teeth of the person, the crown of the teeth is decayed, it is the Merksal. If the edges are decayed, it is the Staphysagra. The tongue is again a physical constitution which you can find it out. The face, the head, the hair, the guilt, everything that we have discussed in length in yesterday's lecture. Today we have to start with the second one, out of which one part in short we have discussed. Second point is nothing but his moral and intellectual character. So what is moral, that we have discussed in yesterday's lecture, that moral is nothing but the thing which is related with the social norms of the human life. In order to make a life very healthy and in a happy way, society has created certain norms. And if one follows those norms, generally everything, there will be no fuss, there will be no embarrassment, everything goes smoothly. And those social norms who follows is the moral, and those who never follows it, we label him by the name of immoral. And there are many more and on the basis of which we can find it out from which miasm does he belongs to. So stories generally they are moral in nature, and that's why even they when they tells anything, even though they have done any crime, they explain the reason why he has done such and such thing. They are trustworthy likewise. But the other two, which are of venereal origin, the psychotic and syphilitic, they are absolutely not immoral. Syphilitic, at least they are immoral, known to everyone, and they do the crime, and that crime is evident. They never cares what will happen, and they do that. The psychotic do it without showing it to anyone. They hide the thing, they are secretive, they keeps everything inside, and they remains with the mask like face. So absolutely different approaches are there, and these are very essential to understand. And for that purpose it is necessary to understand the moral character of the patient. So his moral character is necessary to understand nature of the person. And along with that, one more point which he has highlighted over there, his intellectual character. So how will you know the intellectual character of the person? How do you find it out, intel, whether the person is intellectual or he's not having intellect? It is simple. When you deal with the patient, and if you put any question and person never answers your question, he sits like you sit in the exams. So immediately you can find it out that there is no answer. Either a question is not understood, either question is understood but doesn't want to answer, either question is question is understood but the reaction is to remain fixed, rigid. There are many reactions, but many a times person never explains. Then you can find it out something is wrong. Either their language, there might be a language barrier. You should not go directly to the conclusion. Find it out what may be the reason why the person is not answering. Every person's nature is different. Few people answers very slowly. So sometimes the person, if you ask what is your name, he takes time and then starts explaining about his name. Then you ask for address and he takes a long time, and again he gives that answer and then he explains the address. So when you deal with the patient, and every time whenever this patient gives you details, every time he takes long time to answer your question, you get directly a rubric in your repertory. What is the rubric? Yes, you know it. Yes, answers reflects long, simple. It is too simple. But these things are possible when you deal with the patient. You can judge the intellect of the person. Sometimes there is no response because there is slow comprehension. They never understands what you are talking with. That madness, that slowness, that dullness, you can find it out with the Baratas. So that may be a possibility. Intellectual character is very important, and there are another group of persons where too much intellect is there. They are more advanced. They are Google doctors. They comes to you with their own interpretation. They comes to you and tells you, yes, this is my diagnosis, this is the reason, this is the treatment we have done. Is there anything in homeopathy? I have read also about the homeopathy, everything. They want to show many more things. They are either boast or braggart. They either want to show that they know the things. They are also sometimes feel that they are pompous. There are many more things. And sometimes you get few persons, sometimes you get the children who are intellectual. The recent generation, the children, they are more intellectual. They are more intellectual than me and you also. Because they are born with a different phase. Already we are reading a lot, already we are using the gadgets, already we are in the basically internet phase, and that's why we collect a lot of information in our mind, and that is what is getting transmitted in the next generation. automatically the next generation is more evolved. So nowadays, whenever you get the children, you get more intellectual children, and that's why they are more tubercular of origin. You never get the calcarea like children's commonly. You find it out. You go with the society, find it out. The recent generation, they are weak, emaciated. They don't have flesh on their body. Very occasionally, you get one of the calcarea. Many a times you get the tuberculinum. Many a times you get the iodum. Many a times you get the calcarea phos, but not calcarea carb. The carbon is missing now. Miasm is changing. It is not remaining simple sora. It is turning towards sorosyphilitic, tubercular. So the intellectual character is much more marked. That's why their constitution is like that. When they reach to the 10 standard, 8 to 10 standard, at that time their constitution changes. Till that period, their constitution remains to be a same. So this constitution is one of the part which is related with intellect, and those who are tall, slender, weak, emaciated, like tubercular personalities, they are intellectual personality. And they used to use their intellect in a different manner. You have to find it out from the person. There was one child, I have told that, I think in last lecture, that his mother, he comes with his mother to me. He was very small, just 3-4 years child, and started reading the names. And he, while coming to my clinic, there was a medical store, Sai Baba medical store. He asked his mother that whether the Sai Baba's father's name was medical. It was intellectual. This is intellectual. This is too important. Because he has applied his knowledge that middle name is of father's name. This is how it happens. This is intellectual, original intellectual. And when they start reading, they will going to ask you ample questions. They ask many things. When they start reading, they ask you many things. This is the intellectual character, because they are inquisitive. These persons goes on reading, and these persons wants lot of food for their brain. They comes in your OPD, they never sits in one place. They goes here and there, watches anything, they ask many questions, they put many questions to you, to their parents. And this is what you have to find it out, on the basis of which you find it out the nature of the person. So they are curious, they are inquisitive, they are intelligent. So this intellectual character also gives you a guide towards the certain simillimum, or to find it out the fundamental cause. So this is the second important point which he has mentioned over there, his moral and intellectual character. But there is another variety. There is exactly opposite variety, where the person forgets many things. You get old patients. Sometimes old patient, there is one old patient, I asked his name, he forgot. He was looking towards me. He used to talk my name, and he's like that. He was a person who has become paralyzed and lost his identity. Then you have to tell him, yes, this is your name. It remains only for a certain time. He used to forget again who I am. Who I am is alumina. Confusion of identity of his own. So these are the things which you have to catch. The senile dementia develops a lot of times, and senile dementia, I have treated one case of, it is called as a PSP, supranuclear palsy, progressive supranuclear palsy. Patient was my relative, from long distance, he was my relative. And the person, that fellow, at the age of 72, was bedridden, and he was absolutely lost everything. He was just a dead man, live dead man, because nothing, he was not knowing anything. He doesn't had a sensation of appetite, thirst, everything, nothing. He was like a child, that everything should have been done by the attendant. He doesn't recognize anything, and it was like diagnosed case of PSP. And they asked whether homeopathy can do anything. I said, just have a video chat. They said it is not possible to bring him right from Pune to Sangamner because he is bedridden and he never recognizes anything. Absolutely not to even to his children, daughter, son, nothing. And he was absolutely bedridden in bed on one side, and he was closing his eyes, and he was lost, totally debilitated state, and and non-diabetic hypertensive, and absolutely lost everything. I started him on one remedy, and which brought the life in him. In fact, he lived 10 years thereafter. And he started recognizing everything. He started eating, he started drinking, everything. Only thing, he was not going outside the home. He started walking. Every activity he was doing thereafter. After 1 year of treatment, he came to Sangamner to show himself. The remedy was, what's the remedy? Yes, you have, Dr. Uma, she has asked what's, everyone was curious about the remedy. It was pathological prescription on the basis of logic I have used, and it was picric acid. The senile dementia, and senile dementia with such a debilitated state is always the picric acid. And picric acid worked beautifully. His wife, I used to tell them that bring this potency, and we have prescribed right from the 30 to cm I have utilized in a year. And with all those potencies, he got the 10 years life, and 10 years good life, not life, good life. He used to do all his activities thereafter. It took nearly about 1 month to come out of that, but he started doing all those things, and he remained 10 years. We have repeated many a times acid picric in between 10 years, but it was a wonderful case for me. So these are the things which you have to look for. You have to find it out. Yes, what is this? You have to, first important thing when you deal with the homeopathy, always use the logic. What you are treating. It is so much necessary when you look toward the patient. It is so much necessary to find it out what is wrong with the patient, what is there in the patient, and then you can reach to the right simillimum. It's not just a symptom, a rubric is there and you have prescribed the remedy. This is not a homeopathy. First, understand what is the process which is going on in that patient. Acid picric is the senile dementia. It is the debilitated state. There are many P's which we have learned in our materia medica. There is a pernicious anemia. There is a prostate enlargement. There is a priapism. Many complaints related with the male genital system, they are more marked. The progressive dystrophy of the muscles, which is there, or atrophy of the muscles, which is there. So these are the things which are there in picric acid. But picric acid, once you understand by heart, then you find it out. This is picric acid. So intellectual character, you can locate, you can judge. It is a question of perceiving both the things, the moral character and intellectual character, which you can perceive from the patient. And it requires a homeopathic eye. Once you develop that, then it is too simple to reach to the simillimum. So second important point in the investigation of a fundamental cause is his moral and intellectual character. So are you getting it? Is it clear? So that we can start with the third one. Yes, we'll go towards the third point. Just mention on your book. The third point is his occupation. Occupation is considered in a different manner from allopathic perspective and from homeopathic perspective. What happens? We have a habit of writing down and fulfilling the case paper. Yes, that is what is the allopathic approach, occupational hazard. Yes, and it remains, that much remains in our mind. What happens? We read it in the books that patients who are long-standing who are continuously used to stand for longer time used to suffer from varicose veins. Those who used to work in mines, they used to suffer from minus asthma. Yes, these are the things, these are occupational hazards, but these are the things which never gives you directly a remedy, which details you patient might be suffering from such and such problem, which gives you certain idea about that, but it never leads you to understand the nature of the human being. Our perspective looking towards the occupation is rather different, and one should not just ask what is your occupation. And this mistake we used to do. We used to ask what is your occupation, and then next question should be there, which is very much necessary. Generally, one question should come, are you happy with your occupation? This is too important. You put a question, are you happy with your occupation? Because it gives you exactly the state of disposition of the patient, means his attitude, his aspect looking towards his own occupation. So what occupation he does is not important, how he looks towards his occupation. One person might answer, doctor, actually I didn't want to do a business. I was interested in basically in the job. But what happened? Our family have a regular business, and they asked me to go for business. Why to go for the service? Why to go for job? Yes, what do you get over here? Second patient exactly opposite. He says that actually I wanted to do a business, but because the condition was not there, our financial condition was very poor, and there was need that I should do a job and I can get the money at that time. Till today, I feel bad about it, but I would have done the business. I would be a good man, good businessman. That grief is there in their mind. So what is the rubric which you can find it out, and which defines the individuality of that patient? What is that? That occupation, he is doing the job, never gives you any clue. Yes, doing the things against their will. Very correct, Sakshi. Very correct. So the rubrics are undertaking things opposed to their intention. Phosphorus and sepia, two remedies are there in the repertoire. So this is too important. When at the level of just taking a preliminary data, while leading with the occupation, you get the important information. There was one patient who was suffering from chronic rhinitis for 10 to 15 years, came to me, and I was writing down his just preliminary data, and in preliminary data, I asked him, what's your education? He said, MA B.Ed. When you have done MA B.Ed? He said, in 1772. So what do you do? I felt that he might be a principal anywhere. I asked, what do you do? He said, doctor, we have a cycle business. We used to do that. So why don't you go for, at that time in 1970, you might have been principal directly on the basis of this education. Why you have not done that? He said, doctor, what is there in the job? We get a fixed salary. We are doing such a big business. What is there in the job? Nothing is there. What is the guarantee that it will going to remain forever? Business is our own. We can do whatever we want. This attitude, looking towards his business, looking towards his occupation, gives you the identity of that individual. So what is there? I got the remedy over there. He asked me, is there any security in the job? He asked me, is there any security in the job? So he himself was feeling very insecure. That insecure nature he is very important. That was his individuality. I got the thing. He is insecure, and I checked it throughout the case taking, and he was insecure through and through. Yes, I have prescribed the calcarea, and calcarea covered his whole case. The 15 years chronic rhinitis are covered with calcarea. So this is what we have to look for. It is not just asking the occupation to the person. How the person looks towards his occupation matters a lot. And you have to ask, then you have to ask the relations at the level of occupations. If they are doing the job. How do you feel over there? How many peoples are there? If you are doing job, how many peoples are there? How are your relations with them? So that sometimes it happens that he is happy, everything is going on, but there might be some disturbances from his um, what you can say senior was troubling him. That might be one of the entity. So there might be a domination of a senior which is troubling him. So you can get many more things just to ask about the occupation, and you get many more things about the person. Rubric was insecurity mental. There are many remedies in that rubric. But calcarea has the very typical theme of that. Other modalities also agreed with calcarea, and that's why calcarea. Other people, they have explained the calcarea because they have read the Shankaran sir's calcarea ka soul of remedies. That's why I think others have answered calcarea, because Shankar sir have explained the insecurity aspect of the calcarea in detail while explaining the situational materia medica of the calcarea cup. But there is one rubric in the complete repertory, insecurity, and under which there is insecurity mental. There is another sub rubric is there, but it is not fixed only one remedy. Calcarea is one of the remedy out of them. So this is how one has to look towards the occupation. So how occupation affects that individual, that also you have to look for. And all those matters a lot while understanding the nature of the human. So we have started with the ascertainable physical constitution. Yesterday we have discussed few aspects of moral and intellectual character. Today we have discussed intellectual character in detail. And the third point is occupation. And occupation is one of the important entity which guides you towards the certain understanding the certain aspects of the nature of the human being, because ultimately we have to deal with that human being. There was one question asked by Rutuja: how did you decide that he was insecure? Was that only due to the question he asked? No, it is not because he was insecure. That was there only because he has not done the job. He said, what is the use? In fact, it was more secured at that time. Being a principal in 1970 was 71, 72 was very fixed thing. It was a secured job, but still he was not secured at that level. That's why insecurity. Today, even though you have that degree, you might feel insecure because that is not the only thing which is required. But in 1970, 71, at that time, this education is the biggest education. So we have to understand logically while dealing with the patient. So this was the thing. So since last 2 days we are discussing only with the fifth aphorism, and I think it will take another week to discuss each and everything, because every point in the investigation of the fundamental cause matters a lot, and that gives you directly how to deal with the chronic cases. Simple answer: how to deal with chronic cases. This aphorism gives you a lot. So I think we'll stop over here, and tomorrow we'll continue with the next point, that is mode of living and habits, because it will take another one lecture, and we have to understand the depth of it also in tomorrow's session. Till that period, 5 minutes are there. If are there any questions, we can discuss and then we'll finish. Any question?
Sir,
Yes.
during case taking, I usually record all the things now. I don't write during case taking. So, what do you think the proper way of case taking in
My
chronic cases?
my suggestion is that you record it, but at the same time you write it down. Make a habit of writing down while looking towards the patient at the same time. So when patient is narrating, you must make a habit, just look towards the patient and just go on writing at the same time, so that you can observe very clearly. After recording, sometimes you miss many things. The live expressions are always important, because at that time your intellect is running, and when your intellect is running at the same time, you can catch or grab the many more things. And that's why my suggestion is that you record it and at the same time you write it down. That will be better.
Right, sir. Thank you.
There was one question asked by Sakshi: any remedy for frayed eyes of people doing winding work? It is not fixed. How can it be? You cannot. There are many more. There are many more. Patient might require belladonna. Patient might require pulsatilla. There are many more. It depends. It depends on the individuality of that person. So no fixed remedy. Red eyes, you open the repertory and you have ample remedy.
Sir,
Hmm?
sir, if you have given tuberculinum on the basis of the constitution of the patient,
Hmm.
and if you have given tuberculinum for 2 days and later on we have stopped it, and in relationship of the remedies, we see that tuberculinum, calcarea carb follows well tuberculinum. पण मग कल्किरिया कापचा 2-3 तरी कॅरेक्टरिस्टिक सिम्पटम्स हवेत का आपल्याला त्याच्यामध्ये प्रिस्क्राइब करण्यासाठी?
तुम्ही ट्युबरक्युलिनम तुम्ही म्हणताय की कडे कॉन्स्टिट्युशनली दिला.
हो
मग
सर.
ट्युबरक्युलिनम कॉन्स्टिट्युशन असेल तर कल्केरिया कॉन्स्टिट्युशन नाही येणार ना.
नाही, मग त्याचे 1-2 कॅरेक्टरिस्टिक सिम्पटम्स आपल्याला त्यात आढळले तर नाहीच देऊ शकत का सर आपण?
सिंपल गोष्ट आहे की कल्केरिया कप कॉन्स्टिट्युशन इज रादर डिफरंट and tubercular constitution is rather different. Yes, intercurrent after using the calcarea, you can use intercurrent tuberculinum. It's okay to remove the miasmatic block. But if you find it out, the person is tubercular, and you have to find it, you have given the tuberculinum, then if person becomes or he goes into the state of a calcarea, then you might think, but if a patient never enters into the calcarea, how can it be? Yes, the person is tall, slender, weak, emaciated, having a typical curly eyelashes, elongated eyelashes, very restless, very active, hectic activity, all those things which are related with the tubercular miasm which are present, and you have given the tuberculinum. And after starting tuberculinum as a constitutional, and you have waited a lot, after 2 months, 3 months, person have developed very good constitution. He got the full flesh on the body, and by chance he requires the calcarea, then it's okay. But if tuberculinum you have given for constitutional, don't interrupt. No need.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So any other thing you want to ask? Otherwise, I will conclude and we'll meet tomorrow at the same time. So today there are many more people who are there. Thank you very much attending the sessions. Sir, Dr. Vasudev Varke, sir, Manisha, Jyoti, Preeti, Nisha after long time, Dr. Anita, Akash, Ifat. Yes, thank you very much being there. We'll meet tomorrow at the same time and we'll continue with our session. Thanks a lot, and attend today's Divine School lecture at 9 o'clock. Okay, thank you.